If you'd told me last week that one offhand comment at a casual Saturday night hangout would leave me questioning my marriage, my friendships, and my self-worth, I'd have laughed it off. But here I am, staring down the wreckage of a moment I can't unhear, trying to figure out if what was said out loud broke something I can never fix. It started like any other weekend. My wife, Lauren, and I were hosting our usual group of friends, 6 couples we'd grown close with over the years. We rotated who hosted each month, and this time it was our turn. The evening had gone off without a hitch. Dinner was good, drinks were flowing, and everyone seemed relaxed. We'd all made ourselves comfortable in the living room, sprawled across couches and armchairs, just chatting and catching up. At some point, the conversation drifted to my new job. I'd recently gotten promoted, which came with a nice bump in salary, but also meant I'd be traveling a lot more, sometimes up to 2 weeks a month, though never more than a few days at a time. It was something Lauren and I had talked about at length. We agreed the raise was worth the inconvenience, and she'd even said she was proud of me for pushing forward in my career. She and our friend Melissa were chatting about it while I sipped my club soda and laughed along with the guys. Melissa's husband travels often too, and they were sharing tips on how to make it work. Everything from syncing calendars to carving out quality time when he's home. It was actually a good, productive conversation, and I remember thinking how nice it was to be surrounded by people who got it. Then came the joke. Heidi, who always tries a little too hard to be the funny one, laughed and blurted out, "Well, just make sure you get some sex toys the same size as him, so you don't miss out too much while he's gone." A few people chuckled. It was clearly meant to be a harmless, off-the-cuff comment. Just a bit of awkward humor to poke fun at the reality of long-distance stretches in a marriage. No harm, no foul. But then Lauren responded. She laughed and said, "I don't think they make them that tiny." Just like that. 6 words. 6 bullets. The room went dead quiet. You could feel the mood shift like someone had turned off the lights. Laughter died in people's throats. Drinks froze mid-sip. And I felt my whole body lock up. I just sat there, stunned, for what felt like a lifetime. Then I saw her face. Her smile faded instantly, replaced by panic. She knew what she'd done. She started stammering, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. I was just joking," but it was already too late. She hadn't just embarrassed me, she'd exposed one of the most private, deeply rooted insecurities I've carried my entire life. And she'd done it in front of every couple we spent time with. People who, until that moment, I considered close. Safe. My circle. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even look at anyone. I just stood up, grabbed my keys, and walked out the front door. No shoes. No jacket. Just a hollow feeling in my chest and the sound of blood pounding in my ears. I didn't know where I was going, only that I needed to get away. I ended up at my buddy Jake's place. He lives about 15 minutes away and has always kept an open-door policy with me. No questions asked. I knocked, and he answered wearing sweatpants and a confused look. I told him Lauren and I had a fight. That was all I could say. He didn't press for details, just handed me a soda, let me crash on his couch, and turned on the TV like it was just another casual night. But nothing felt casual. Inside, I was unraveling. I kept replaying it, Lauren's voice, the laughter, the silence that followed. The way she looked at me when she realized what she'd done. Like she knew she'd crossed a line you don't come back from. The truth is, what she said wasn't even a lie. Not exactly. I've known all my life that I'm underwhelming in that department. It's something I've been painfully aware of since I was a teenager. I never needed anyone to point it out. I live with it every day. And every guy reading this will understand me when I say, no matter how confident you pretend to be, that kind of insecurity never really leaves you. I'd always assumed I was lucky to find someone like Lauren. She never made me feel small, at least, not until now. In fact, our sex life had been good, even great. I made up for what I lacked in one area by giving more in others. I paid attention. I learned her. And she always seemed satisfied. More than that, we had fun. There was teasing, sure, some playful humiliation in the bedroom, but it was part of our dynamic. Part of the private language we shared behind closed doors. And yeah, I leaned into it. Maybe I even found some twisted comfort in owning it, if only in that safe space. But Saturday night shattered that safety. Because what was once a private joke, when I had allowed, even enjoyed, became a public humiliation. Suddenly, this thing I'd worked so hard to hide, to cope with, was now out there. In front of everyone. Our friends. People I laugh with. watch football with, go on double dates with. And now, every time I walk into a room, will they be thinking about that? About me? About it? That's the part one can't get past. Lauren has been texting and calling nonstop since Sunday morning. Apologies on top of apologies. I didn't mean it. I was just joking. It came out wrong. Please talk to me. I read them all, but I haven't responded. I told her once I needed space, and that's all I've said. What am I supposed to say? I feel betrayed. Not just embarrassed, but exposed. Vulnerable in a way I didn't know I could still feel after all these years with her. And the worst part is, I don't know if it was just a slip of the tongue or if, deep down, she really thinks that way. That she laughs about it with the girls. That this has been a running joke behind my back. That maybe I've been the punchline all along. That thought has been eating at me more than anything else. Because once the seed is planted, you can't unthink it. I can't help but wonder, was that the first time Lauren said something like that out loud? Or just the first time I heard it? I laid awake on Jake's couch that night, staring at the ceiling, trying to piece together every memory, every conversation, every weird glance exchanged across the dinner table. Had our friends always known? Had she made jokes before when I wasn't around? Was I the only one unaware of what was being said in those girl talk moments I never had access to? I've never felt so isolated. So stupid. The next morning, Jake made coffee and gave me a look like he wanted to ask what really happened, but he didn't. Instead, he just handed me a mug and said, "Whenever you're ready, man." I nodded, grateful for the space, but I wasn't ready. I'm still not. Because I don't know how to explain something so deeply personal and humiliating. I don't know how to say, my wife made a joke about the size of my dick in front of all our friends, and now I want to disappear. How do you say that without crumbling? The thing is, I've never been one to care much about what people think. Or at least, I thought I wasn't. But now I care. Too much. I can't stop imagining the next time I see one of them, Melissa, Heidi, the guys. Will they pretend it never happened? Will they try to hard not to bring it up? Or worse, will I catch one of them smirking when they think I'm not looking? Lauren's voice rings in my head constantly, those 6 words looping over and over again. And every time I remember the way her tone shifted when she realized what she'd done, I feel a mix of pain and rage. She knew. She knew it was wrong the second it left her mouth. But it was already out, like toothpaste from a tube. You don't get to put it back. And what do I do now? How do I go home and pretend like everything's okay? How do I sleep next to someone who turned something so vulnerable into a punchline? What scares me the most is that this feels irreversible. Trust is a fragile thing. It doesn't break all at once, it cracks slowly, then shatters when the weight becomes too much. And right now, I'm looking at a million shards of something I'm not sure can ever be pieced back together. She keeps texting, saying she misses me, that she wishes she could take it back, that she was just trying to be funny and it came out wrong, that she never meant to hurt me. And maybe all that is true. Maybe she really didn't mean to. But intent doesn't erase impact. And the impact? It hit me like a freight train. There's a part of me that wants to believe this can be fixed, that a sincere apology and a lot of hard conversations might eventually bring us back to some version of what we had. But there's another part of me, a louder, angrier, more wounded part, that wonders if walking away is the only way to reclaim my dignity. And between those two parts, I don't know which one I'm supposed to listen to. I stayed at Jake's for another day, mostly in silence. He gave me space, didn't push. We watched basketball, made small talk, ordered takeout. On the outside, it looked like 2 guys just having a laid-back bro weekend. But inside, I was spiraling. Every quiet moment gave my mind room to wander. In every direction it wandered, it landed on Lauren. On the betrayal. On the shame. By Monday afternoon, I knew I couldn't hide forever. I needed clothes. I needed to face her eventually. Most of all, I needed to know if there was anything left worth salvaging. I texted her, "I'll be home around 6. We'll talk then." She replied almost immediately, "Okay, I'll be here." When I pulled into the driveway, my heart was pounding like I was walking into a war zone. The house looked the same, like nothing had happened. But everything had. The moment I stepped inside, I could feel it, the tension, the unspoken weight between us. Lauren stood in the kitchen, hands clasped tightly in front of her like she was bracing for impact. Her eyes were red. I didn't speak. I just walked past her into the living room, dropped my bag by the couch, and sat down. She followed. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, her voice already cracking. "I know you probably don't even want to look at me right now, but I need you to know that I never meant to hurt you. I was being stupid. I was trying to be funny, and it just came out. The second I said it, I knew I'd messed up. I hate that I hurt you. I hate myself for it. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She wasn't faking the regret. Her eyes were glassy, her voice trembling. And I believed her. But believing her didn't make it better. You humiliated me, I said. My voice was low, steadier than I expected. You took something deeply personal, something I've trusted you with for years, and you made it a joke. In front of our friends. In front of people I have to face again. Do you understand how that felt? She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. I do. And I wish I could take it back. I've been playing it over and over in my head, and I'm so sorry, Nate. I know sorry isn't enough, but I'll say it 1,000 times if that's what it takes. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hug her. I wanted to cry. But all I could do was sit there, staring at the woman I once thought would never hurt me like this. I don't know if I can come back from this, I finally said. That hit her like a punch to the chest. She staggered backward, hand over her mouth, like the words physically knocked the wind out of her. Nate, please don't say that. I'm not trying to punish you, I said. I'm just being honest. I don't know if I can be intimate with someone who made my most private insecurity into a punchline. I don't know if I can trust you not to do it again. Or if I can walk into a room with those people and not feel like I'm being silently laughed at. She collapsed onto the armchair across from me, sobbing into her hands. I sat there, hollow, the silence swallowing us both. I still didn't know which part of me to listen to, the one that wanted to fight for this, or the one that wanted to finally walk away. Lauren cried quietly for a long time. I didn't move. I just sat there, staring past her at the framed photos on the bookshelf, pictures from vacations, holidays, years of shared laughter. In each one, we looked happy, solid, real. But now, every image felt like it belonged to someone else's life. She eventually looked up at me through tear-streaked eyes. If you need time, I'll give it to you, she whispered. If you want to sleep somewhere else, or if you don't want to see our friends again, I'll support whatever you need. I want you to know that this isn't something I'll ever joke about again. Not with you. Not with anyone. It was cruel. And it was unforgivable. But I'm still hoping you'll find a way to forgive me. I didn't respond right away. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know how. Forgiveness, I've realized, isn't something you say. It's something you feel. And I didn't feel it yet. That night, I slept in the guest room. The silence in the house was deafening. No sound of Lauren brushing her teeth. No rustle of sheets beside me. No whispered goodnight. Just quiet. Cold, empty quiet. And in that stillness, I had to face the hardest truth of all. I didn't just feel betrayed. I felt less. Diminished. Like the thing I'd spent so long hiding had finally been dragged out into the light. And now there was nowhere left to retreat. I thought I had made peace with my insecurity. Thought I'd learned to live with it. But that night proved I hadn't, not really. I thought about therapy. About whether we could go together, maybe talk through the pain in a space where I could say all the things I didn't have the words for yet. I also thought about lawyers. About what it would look like to divide up a life that had once felt so whole. 2 different futures, one with her and one without. The next morning, I found a note on the kitchen counter. It was from Lauren. Nate, I'm not going to pretend I understand the depth of your hurt. But I do understand that I caused it. I've spent the last 2 days asking myself why I said what I did, and I still don't have an answer, just shame. You didn't deserve that. You never have. Whatever happens next, whether you forgive me or not, I need you to know this. You are enough. You've always been enough. I am so sorry I made you feel otherwise. I read it twice, then a third time, and I cried. Not because the note fixed anything, but because for the first time, I believed she understood. The weight of what she'd said, the depth of what she broke, and maybe, just maybe, the worth of what she still stood to lose. I still haven't made a final decision. Some wounds take time to stop bleeding before they can begin to heal. But I'm trying. I'm letting myself feel it all, the shame, the anger, the grief, the flickers of hope that maybe this doesn't have to be the end. And whether I stay or go, one thing is certain, I'll never let someone else define my worth again. Not with a joke. Not with silence. Not ever. Now I want to hear from you. How would you feel if someone you trusted turned your deepest insecurity into a public joke? Would you forgive them, or would you walk away? What would you do in my shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading them all. And if you felt this story, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you know, and lets me feel like I'm not alone in this. Your support means everything right now. Thanks for listening, truly.